Hi ladies! So today I'm going to be kind of answering an expat Q&A. If you hear any knocking, I'm sorry about that. That's my neighbors. They're working on some project and they've been working on it for weeks and banging on my wall every day, and I just can't have to work around it. My husband's been studying for final exams, so that obviously he's thrilled about the noise as well. Alright, so I took the questions for this Q&A from the blogs of the lovely Belinda and Bailey. I'll link to their blogs below. They did a link up for a while where they would ask a bunch of questions for expats and you would answer and then link your blog back up. And I'm not sure if they're still doing it monthly. I think it might be more occasional now. But I haven't done it for a long time personally, so I wanted to answer two of them today in a video. And yeah. So question number 1. How do your family and friends back home perceive your new life, and is it accurate? I don't really know exactly how most of them perceive it. I have gotten some like offhand comments that are kind of funny, or sometimes they're like really weird stereotypes that people assume that that's how it is, and it's not quite. Yeah, I don't know how to explain. Question number 2. Do you find the need to edit your life when you're talking to friends and family back home? Sometimes, for usually one of two reasons. Either in the beginning, after I hit my culture shock, like my major culture shock, there were some times that I was just sad like all the time, and there was nothing I could do to make it better. Like, I was just really sad. And you know, if every time people call you, you're just like, and this smells, and the cheese here smells funny, and it's blue, and you're just like crying about cheese. People are not going to be very sympathetic unless they themselves have gone through culture shock in another country, in which case, you know, blab away. But in general, yeah, I find it's a little bit better to kind of not necessarily not tell people about those things and how you're feeling, but also try and balance it out with a bit of positive, if that makes sense. And then I also realized that there are certain people that are in my circle of acquaintances that I just can absolutely not talk anything about politics with them. And I'm not even expressing my opinions. I can say something completely neutral, like, oh, I'm on vacation this week, and they're like, you're on vacation again? And I'm like, well, in France we have the right to 5 weeks vacation time every year. And then I will get a long lecture about the evils of socialism and how horrible it is that I'm living in a country and supporting a government that would give people like free healthcare. And it's just, I do not want to hear it. I don't want to hear things like that. So with that person, anything that could be even slightly political is edited out of the conversation. We mostly talk about the weather because I can't handle that. I don't even vote here. Like, I'm not a citizen. I don't vote in France. Well, there you go. So yes, sometimes I do edit. That was a very long response to tell you that. Question number 3. What is your favorite food store in your city and why? So this is kind of a complicated question. I kind of like any of the stores that have food. But I guess it would be any patisserie store. Do those count? Like any bakery? Anything that's sugary and terrible for you. I don't buy lots of patisseries and lots of bread and things like that. I try to keep it moderate and only buy myself things for very special occasions, because otherwise I could go overboard and eat them every day, and they're expensive. But yes, otherwise they're lovely. Question number 4. Is it okay to buy the store brand items, or is it like generic, or is it better to buy name brand items? Like, is it better to pay a little bit extra and pay for the name brand? And I would say that depends on what it is, like in every country. But there's a lot, yeah, in general, just buy the name brand. Really though, like there's a couple of things where the generic is just as good or slightly better, but it's very rare, where I live at least. In general, all of the store brands from like Monoprix and Auchan and Carrefour, it's not as good. The quality, there's a huge difference between the different qualities, and usually the price difference is something like 30 cents. So if you're gonna buy the cheap thing and you have to throw it out anyways because it tastes so bad, you might as well have just paid the 30 cents in the first place. That's my personal opinion. And then meat. I always make sure to buy meat that comes from France. So even if I have to pay a little extra, I want it to have the sticker of approval. I want it to say somewhere on the box that those animals were raised in France. Otherwise, it's just... Because there have been a lot of scary stories since I've come here about like people selling horse meat in France as like regular beef meat, and I don't know. There have been a lot of like sketchy stories about meat that comes from the international, from other European countries. So I'm just French meat, just French meat. That's worth it for me. What do you think is the best way to get about your city? Bike, car, what's the other option? Bus, etc. My city personally is really well serviced by buses and trams and things like that, and parking is ridiculously expensive, so definitely public transport for where I'm living personally. Which store do you turn to for basics like toilet paper and cleaning supplies? For me, that's just any grocery store here. We really like liter price because it's a lot cheaper, and you can also get, if you sign up on their website, you can get a coupon every single week. So whenever we go shopping, we just type in our code onto their website and we see what coupon they've got going on that week, and we print it out and bring it in, and then things are even cheaper. So yeah, that's my favorite French grocery store as far as prices go. I'm gonna have to read this question to you while I'm saying it. Where do you think is the best place in your city to get a cup of coffee or beverage you prefer and catch up with friends? So firstly, I don't drink any coffee, but in the winter I do really love a good cup of hot chocolate. And I don't have a place to recommend as far as getting a drink goes. Pretty much anywhere, they're all pretty good. But afterwards, there's a little restaurant that I like to go to with friends. It's called Boboon, and it's kind of this Vietnamese dish, and it's absolutely delicious, and it's kind of fresh, and it's not very expensive, but still a little bit like you feel classier eating a Boboon than you do eating McDonald's, for example. And yeah, and I really like it. All right, so I think that'll be all the questions that I'll be answering for today. If you do have any questions about expat life, I would love to answer them, especially if you're planning to move to France and you're nervous about anything. I am not by any means any sort of legal or visa expert. If you want to know my personal story and how I did it, I can just tell you what I did personally, but I can't give any professional advice on any level for that sort of a thing. Yes, so I hope everyone is having a really wonderful day, and I hope that this Q&A was at least semi-interesting. I tend to ramble, so possibly it wasn't, but you let me know, and I hope you're having a really great day. I already said that. And I will chat with you all next time. Ciao!